Well, good morning, everyone. Got a update video here, as well as some information for you all as I'm driving to work here. And I've got good news and I've got bad news. I think I'm going to start with the good news first. And here it goes. Got a message last night from my wife, who informed me through Jennifer Faircloth, Pastor Faircloth's wife, that he is home now, out of the hospital, praise the Lord, and recovering and recuperating, and things seem to be on the up, going up now for his health. And so thank you for all your prayers on that, and please continue to pray. That is a miracle, praise the Lord, that he is home and able to recover and recuperate now, and from what I understand, doing much better. So Jen contacts my wife, who then lets me know what's going on, so it's like cool. So I can share it with you all. So that's the good news. Unfortunately, that's kind of the only good news I have, really. So just being honest here. The other things I posted regarding people I know or know of, David contacted me. People remember seeing that post, and he informed me that his mother-in-law did pass away in her sleep last night. So thank you for your continued prayers for him and his family and everything that they're going through now. A lot of people getting hit in a lot of different ways, unexpectedly and maybe even expectedly, but just everything from health to finances to family issues, situations, just you name it. I mean, people are just getting hammered left and right in a lot of different ways. And then got a update. They also shared on Joni Stahl, and some people said they didn't know who Joni is. Joni has been on A Minute to Midnight many times with Tony Koretz, if people are familiar with that podcast on YouTube, A Minute to Midnight. She has a YouTube channel called Joni Stahl's STAHLS. I think it's called, what is it called? Heaven's Devotions, something like that. Heaven's Land Devotions, I think. I don't know. Something similar to that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. And Joni Stahl's Field Notes is another one. Joni actually exposed the corruption of the Maui fires. Pretty much was on top of that before anybody, telling people the truth on that, because she was able to get some information that she shared on her channel. So that's who Joni is, if people don't know. But yeah, she is very knowledgeable, and she shares a lot of really good information with people on her channel, and like I said, in interviews and so forth. But anyway, her mom had a stroke and apparently is not doing well. It's debilitating, and evidently the current information is she'll have to go into hospice, and it's not looking good right now. So thank you for your prayers for her and her family, and pray that you just continue, ask that you just continue to pray for them as they go through this time as well. And it's not fun to put these posts up for sure, but it's necessary, because it lets people know what's going on, what's happening, in the body of Christ, and how people can, make their mark in heaven. Let's put it that way. Hopefully I believe the prayers will reach the throne room, and just like with Pastor Faircloth, they can work for other people, and they do. If enough people pray and those prayers flood the throne room of heaven, then God will hear and answer our prayers. And I believe he has, and he does. So just keep pushing on, keep praying, So those are pretty much the updates that I have on any of the posts regarding people and health situations, or just work situations, or financial situations, or whatever else. I know there are a lot of people out there that they post on the channel, They send me emails, they post comments or whatever, that they're dealing with a lot of different things as well. I mean, it would be way too many people to mention. So just check out the comments, in the videos, from past videos or posts or whatever, if you want to know, who you can pray for and about what. People are not shy, and, about what they need in their life and what they're hoping and praying and believing for. So that's kind of leading me into the next thing here, because it kind of goes hand in hand. Getting quite a bit of information on emails, messages, and so forth on the economy, on what's happening out there as far as this exposure of corruption, and it's very interesting to see how people are responding and reacting to this. Just watching human nature in general, how people respond and react to things. It's kind of interesting, because I'm just kind of observing from the outside. That's what I'm doing, is I'm gathering a lot of information, and then when I get enough information, then I share a video on it when I think it's important enough for people to know what's going on out there and what could actually happen in the very near future. I do emphasize the word could. I'm not guaranteeing or promising anything. I'm giving you my perspective on it, because I don't think it's a perspective a lot of people are hearing out there. So it goes like this. Everybody's familiar with DOGE and Department of Government Efficiency and all the corruption that's being exposed and this and that. And I mean, there's just tons of it. I mean, they're just blowing the lid off of everything, meaning Elon and the Prez and whoever else is in the cabinet working on this. I think it's just them two for the most part. Mostly Elon. Seems like Elon's our president, But anyway, seems that way to me anyway. And the dude's not even an American. But I digress. So anyway, all this exposure and then U.S. aid and all this stuff, and I look at it as a huge distraction, me personally, okay? And this is why I say that, because although it is great to expose evil, we're told to do that, and we, and that's a good thing to do, and if possible to, like Micah 6:8, it says, seek justice, and for victims, and I'm all for that, and giving the government back to the people and so forth and so on. I'm all for that, okay? Personally, I don't think that's what's really happening behind the scenes, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And that's why I'm not so giddy with excitement about all of this, like I know certain prophecy channels are, or people with blogs, or that scour the internet, like, man, like they have nothing better to do in their life whatsoever, and they just scour the internet for article after article after article and post it here and post it there and so forth and so on. And I get why they're giddy with excitement, because I think they're missing the big picture on this whole thing. And here's the reason I say that. The exposure of certain things, like, say, we'll just take Social Security right now. That seems to be the latest thing, where supposedly all these dead people have been still receiving Social Security payments for, and they're like hundreds of years old now, and so forth. And it's like, yeah, we're going to get all this money back, and this is where we can cut, and this is where we can, save money for the American people, and this is where we're able to make a difference here and there. It's like, that sounds really, really good on the surface. But is that really what's going to happen? Now, the reason I'm skeptical about this is because of Gerald Celente and Judge Andrew Napolitano. And I would highly recommend and suggest that people subscribe to Gerald Celente, Celente YouTube channel, and listen to the discussions that he and Judge Andrew Napolitano have on this whole thing, because they are spot on. Absolutely and totally and completely spot on about what they're saying. Because, see, here's the thing that people are missing, okay? The exposure and getting it all out there is great. That's wonderful. But I think we are basically trading old evil for new evil and old corruption for new corruption. I think that's all that's really happening. Because if you listen to their discussions and you see what's really going on here is what we have is a constant circumventing of the Constitution and Congress. And Judge Napolitano put it perfectly. It's like the president or anybody in office cannot just sign executive orders into law and give themselves emergency powers from that. They can't just do that and constantly circumvent the Constitution and Congress. And here's why. Because supposedly they took an oath to follow the Constitution. And the Constitution does not allow for that. There has to be a rule of law. Now, if we are still currently under the U.S. Constitution, then technically he can't keep doing this. He has to follow the Constitution. And technically he can't keep circumventing Congress to get what he wants. Meaning he can't put his attack dog lackey Elon on everyone and everything. Like I said, especially considering the dude's not even an American. He wasn't elected to any office. He was just basically shoved in there. And, you know, he's hanging out in the Oval Office and he's basically speaking even more than the president, which I don't even know how that's possible. You know, he's got his kid in there with him, you know, basically telling the president to shut up. If people have seen that video. I mean, it's insane. It's crazy. It's almost like my daddy's president, you shut up kind of thing. You know, it's crazy. But this is what is happening. And people are cheering it on. And it's like either we are going to have a rule of law in our society or we won't. Now, I know that we are mostly lawless. I get that. I understand that. But you can't just keep doing this because it's against the Constitution. See, and law and justice is supposed to matter in this country. I know it doesn't always, but it's supposed to. See, and for me, and people like me, you know, I was a former police officer. People don't know that. A lot of people probably do, but if they don't, you know, new to the channel or whatever. So I was a civilian and military police officer. And so as a civilian officer, I had to study constitutional as well as I was a cop in Colorado and Colorado state law. So not an expert, but you had to know it. Because if you're going to enforce the law and you're going to know what to pull people over for and what to charge them for, you know, then you got to know the law. Makes sense, right? Not only state law, but constitutional law, specifically, you know, the Fourth Amendment, search and seizure, things of that nature, right? So it either applies or it doesn't apply. You can't have it both ways. And you can't just enforce what you want to enforce and not other things. You can't pick and choose here. And that's exactly what's happening. You know, you can't decide, well, I don't like what the Constitution says here, like Judge Napolitano said, like referring to like to the 14th Amendment, you know, birthright citizenship. Well, I don't like that, so I'm just going to simply write an executive order to negate that or to pretend that amendment doesn't exist, or we're just going to ratify it. But that has to go through Congress. See, there's supposed to be a process, a legal process in which things occur. People remember way back, you know, you got the legislative, the executive branch, you know, the judicial branch. Remember the branches of government? Remember way, way, way back, you know, you maybe learned this at school at one point in time. Well, either that exists or it applies or it doesn't. So what we've done here is we have traded old corruption for new corruption. Old evil for new evil. We haven't gotten rid of the evil. Okay? We haven't changed anything. And I'm going to tell you why I think this is dangerous. And even more dangerous than people think, they may realize. Because like I said, I know people are giddy with excitement. They're cleaning out the snakes. Okay? They're draining the swamp. They're going to get rid of all these people. There's going to be mass arrests. Okay, let's talk about the mass arrest, right? I mean, I see it everywhere, especially amongst the Christian nationalists, the Q people, which you don't really hear that too much about that anymore as much. But the Christian nationalists, the NAR, the New Apostolic Reformation movement, all of these preachers, teachers, of these movements and these, this new religion is really what it boils down to. They talk about mass arrest and they talk about this. You know what? This is what I believe in my heart about that, okay? I don't think you'll see too many big name evil people going to Guantanamo Bay Gitmo or being led away in handcuffs for mass arrest. You know what I think the mass arrests are going to be? I think it's going to be the Christians. I think it's going to be people like you and me. I think it's going to be the people that refuse to bow the knee to the Noahide laws. This video might get taken down. I don't know, whatever. That's what I think. Because every president signs those existing laws back into law. I don't know if you knew that or not. Even the current one. Especially the current one, I should say. So they want those laws to replace the Old Testament. And those laws not only allow, they legalize the persecution of Christians. Of people that, see, you can worship a God, you can serve a God, you just can't be Jesus Christ under the Noahide laws. So, what do you think the mass arrests are going to be? Do you really think a bunch of evil people, evil bankers, evil politicians, evil pedophiles, evil sex offenders, evil traffickers, you think they're going to be the ones that get arrested? Yeah, maybe a few no names, but do you really think the big names are going to be arrested, the mass arrest big names? And if they are, I'll tell you why. They'll be the ones that the current regime, the Prez and the Elon and the current regime consider to be enemies of the state. They may not even be guilty just because they come against, like Paula White and, their ilk, would say, no weapon formed against him shall prosper, and all who rise up against him shall fall and they will be condemned. And, because this is God's anointed. Man, that is so unbelievably narcissistic and anti-biblical. It's unreal, but that's what they do, And so basically, if you come against the regime, if you come against the press, you're an enemy of the state. So maybe if you're a big name out there, and you might get arrested because you're standing in the way of things. But ultimately, the mass arrests, I think those are going to be reserved for the Christians that will not acquiesce to the Noahide laws. They won't bow the knee. That's what I believe. People can disagree, agree, whatever. That's what I believe. So when they talk about mass arrests, I think that's what they're talking about. So let's get to the financial aspect of everything here, okay? So the reports are now Social Security, right? We're back to where we began, okay? It's like, oh, we're exposing this, exposing that, da-da-da-da-da. All right. Is it far-fetched to believe, because it's already happened, I'll get to that in a second. Is it far-fetched to believe that if you expose so much Social Security and you say, well, these people are receiving benefits that aren't supposed to receive them, and these people have been dead for so long and they're not supposed to get them, and there's this mass corruption out there and we've got to clean this mess up? Aha. What do you think the chances are, while they're cleaning the mess up and making sure that they revamp it and make sure that everybody's supposed to be getting benefits, that there's some kind of a delay or stoppage? What do you think the chances are on that? I'd say it's pretty high, because all they got to do is make the same excuse that they made before. Well, while we're in the process of cleaning things up, with the tariffs and and holding these other countries accountable, yeah, there's going to be a little pain on the American people, but they'll understand, because they'll see that we're cleaning this up. We're draining the swamp. We're getting the snakes out, and we're fixing everything that was, basically unfixable and messed up over the last how many years. So they'll understand that they're going to have to suffer. Really? I'm not so sure on that, because when you take that down to the bare bones, where there's no eggs, food shortages because of whatever outbreak, and they have to start injecting chickens and whatever else, and they start all this stuff up, and not just chickens but other animals and everything else, and they say, well, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. Well, there's a shortage on here because of this outbreak or that outbreak. We can't sell this food to people because it's going to make them sick or kill them or whatever else, and on and on, and then basically there's no food left because of the weather where they don't know what are we in? Spring, summer, fall? I have no idea. Winter? It's hard to say from day to day, right? So the crops don't grow, nature's confused. The birds don't know whether to come back or go or whatever else. And I got all this craziness, all this insanity, with nature in general and the weather and everything else. And we have major shortages in the stores for various reasons. Do you think that regular mom and dad or grandma and grandpa that might be raising their grandkids for whatever reason or whatever the case may be, if they have to look in their grandchildren's eyes and say, I'm sorry, we don't have food because the president's cleaning everything up, and he just told us to hold on and wait a little bit longer while he cleans everything up, and there's going to be some pain here, but in the meanwhile, here's some tree bark. Seriously, do you really think people are going to be accepting that? Where the mom and dad have to get down on one knee and look in their children's crying eyes, and say, I'm sorry, we don't have any food. I don't know what to tell you. It's not that mommy and daddy aren't working hard. It's not that we're not trying to provide. And it's not even that the Lord's not providing for us. It's just the fact that, they've taken all the food out of the grocery stores, So, yes, miracles, absolutely. The Lord will provide. But what I'm just talking about is just regular trips to the grocery stores or what have you. People better have faith to believe that that God will provide for them and their families, and they prepare for that, in case there isn't food in the grocery stores, or at least not as much as there was before. So, I think Social Security might have the same problem, especially for people depending upon those. I guess the next payment would be like March 4th or whatever. I think they may have the same issue with Social Security, where they just say, well, we're cleaning up the mess, but it's going to take some time. So in the meanwhile, we'll just have to delay your payments for a few weeks or a month or whatever it is, or stop them altogether until the government decides, oh, it's time again. We can go ahead and pay them out again because we've cleaned up the problem. Well, here's the thing about that. And it cracks me up because the same people that kind of preach a wealth transfer to a certain extent, or, we need to support the pres with everything that he's doing and everything that he says or whatever, because he's cleaning everything up and draining that swamp and doing this and doing that. They're the same ones that will literally talk about, like, Shane Warren's vision from years ago, the pastor in Louisiana or whatever, which I think is a true vision. I think he got it in 2012 or whatever, if I recall correctly, where he's like taking a nap and he in his vision, the TV's on or whatever, and he sees this breaking news report where the report is cash is now worthless. Basically, you've got dollars flying around like leaves in the wind, and nobody cares. Nobody's trying to pick them up. There's no wealth transfer or anything like that, anything of that nature. It's like the only reason people would be picking up money is for toilet paper, or to burn. It's useless. It's worthless. Flying around like leaves in the wind. Why? Economic collapse, economic crash, right? It's meaningless. It has no purpose. They've declared cash to be useless because of digital currency or whatever else, whatever other reasons, and now it's useless. It's worthless. The dollar has fallen. The dollar has crashed. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen anytime real soon. I know some people believe that it will happen this month. I got a report on that. Some people believe next month. Some people believe this month and next month. I have no idea. I'm not predicting anything like that, not publicly anyway. Might share some things amongst friends, but not publicly, But I think the possibility exists. If you look at what's going on in the markets now, and you listen to some serious economists out there that are telling people the truth, not promising a wealth transfer and not promising this and that and everything else, and saying, hey, this is the reality of the situation. It's not looking good. It's definitely not looking good. And, this is the stuff they want to ignore, all the layoffs and all the companies filing for bankruptcy and all the companies being shut down. They don't want to talk about that, all the job losses and everything, because people are giddy with excitement over the exposure of this corruption from the last I don't know how many years, and they're missing it. They're absolutely missing it. It's like, yeah, we're going to fire the IRS agents. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of that. Hey, listen, I'm all for that. All right, get rid of the people that aren't doing their job. Get rid of the people that are putting a hurting on us, an unnecessary hurting on the American people. I get it. I understand it. I love justice. Absolutely. I seek it. I want it. Absolutely. But at what cost? See. At the cost of having American families starve, regular people starve and not be able to get food in the grocery stores just because a few IRS agents are fired, or they've cleaned up a bunch of corruption from the government and gotten rid of all of these, people that are useless in their jobs or whatever. I think I'd rather have food. Personally, I think I'd rather have food. Other people may disagree with me on that. Like I said, clean it up, sure, but do it the right way. Use the Constitution, We had that long prophesied red wave. Guess what? It came in. We've got a red Congress, a red president, red Senate, red House, red everything. Red down the board, across the board. So use it then. If that's what you want and that's what you got, then use it to your advantage. Use the rule of law. I know, they're all the same. I get that. I understand that. But when it comes to passing legislation and signing bills into law or whatever, then do it the proper way. Nobody has signed, like Judge Napolitano and Gerald Salende discussed, nobody signed more executive orders than this guy as soon as this guy, ever in history. And people say, well, that's because there's so much to clean up, and that's because there's so much to fix. Granted, but do it the right way. That's all I'm saying. I'm not against exposing corruption and cleaning up messes. Just do it the right way. That's all I'm saying. Because if you don't do it the right way, then what we have is a dictatorship. And dictators can do good things. You look throughout history, dictators they have done good things. Mostly, they're a dictator, though. My way or the highway, Jack. You stand in my way, I'm going to arrest you, or, worse. That's a dictator. Is that what we want? It's probably what we got, but is that what we want? Because if people really want to do a deep dive into all this, of who these men really are, and who the people in the cabinet really are, you'd be pretty shocked. You'd be pretty surprised. If you really want to go deep and find out who these people really are and what they really represent, most people won't do that though, because they wouldn't be able to handle that much truth. It would blow them away. Might cause them to have a heart attack or something. It'd blow them away because they're like, this can't be true. No, this can't be true. It can't be. It can't be. No, it's not supposed to be like this. It can't be true. It is true. But people, they don't want to see the truth. They would rather be giddy with excitement. I'm not saying you all, for the most part. Anybody listens to me on this channel, follows this channel, or, I don't really like that word, but, reads the post or checks out the videos I share on the post or or in the playlist or whatever, you pretty much get it. But maybe not your friends, your family, your coworkers, whatever else, people that you go to church with, hang out with, try to have civil conversation if you can with or whatever. They don't get it. I guarantee you they don't get it. They are giddy with excitement or or just trying to, if they're not giddy with excitement, they're just trying to make it through life, man. They're just trying to navigate this life. They're just trying to get through from day to day, you know, and they're hoping people won't hurt them or their families or whatever else, and that whatever laws are being enacted or executive orders are being enacted will be for their benefit instead of their detriment. But I have great concern that it is for the detriment. And don't be surprised if those Social Security checks are delayed or stopped. I'm not saying they will be. And then the other thing that was seen in that vision is people holding up signs saying, I want my entitlements. Well, what are entitlements? Social Security, right? You know, all the other benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever else, you know, things that people believe that they are entitled to, and maybe they are to a certain extent. They want their entitlements. Why? Because it's all been canceled. Because Doge and USA just didn't get rid of the corruption. It got rid of everything. You know, if those visions come to pass, you know, if those other prophecies, dreams, or whatever come, it gets rid of everything. It's bye-bye. It's gone. Because the government's bankrupt. Because everything goes to pot. So there's no entitlements. There's no anything. See, people got to start thinking this way and preparing this way. If not, they're going to be on the outside looking in. And it's going to be bad. It's going to be really, really bad. So I just had to throw this stuff out there. I would highly suggest, again, people subscribe to Gerald Celente YouTube channel. And listen to, I think it's like every Wednesday, he has Judge Napolitano on, and they have a really, really good conversation about what's going on. And the judge just puts it down, I mean, as a constitutional judge, he said, listen, this is the rule of law. This is what's supposed to be happening. This is what he can do. This is what he can't do. And this is what he is doing. And it's bad, man. It's really, really bad. Sounds to me like we got a dictator in chief. You know, that's not good. People say, oh, that would be excellent. You know, we need a king and not a president. You know, it's like, okay, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it all, and some you don't want, right? So be careful. Because the judge, he puts it, I mean, and he just lays it all down there, you know, and it's really good. It's a really good conversation to have. It's usually pretty short too, less than a half an hour, you know, and it's the best thing I've seen on YouTube. I don't know how long, as far as, you know, just putting it out there to help people to understand in layman's terms what's happening here legally and what can and can't be done, and should and shouldn't be done. All right, I think that's all I have. Y'all have a great and blessed day. Take care. I'll update as I can, post as I can. Pretty busy, you know, and a lot of times I just kind of, like I said, I just gather information for long periods of time, and, you know, and ignore this, ignore that, put this out, put that out, you know, whatever the case may be, because I just, you know, it's overwhelming, man. It's absolutely overwhelming in a lot of different ways. So I just try to do the best I can with the time I have available to me. So, all right. Well, y'all take care. Have a great, blessed day. Got to navigate my way in here. A truck blocked the road. So, all right. Y'all take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.